Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being patient with me today on a little bit of a delayed start, but we are here at the Tank Bangers, episode 8 on Vintage Motocross Q&A. Today, we're going to be taking a look at one of my favorite dents to fix. And it's often one that people say it's in the worst spot. Well, it's actually not in the worst spot. It's, of course, the dreaded dent up front that happens often from your triple clamp. Spins around. The stop breaks off, the triple clamp bolt on your Honda winds up going into the tank just like that. And you wind up with quite a dent. So don't forget, if you're watching the show, comment where you're watching the show from, what you'd like to see on future episodes. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you as well. Today's episode of Tank Bangers is brought to you by Full Circle Racing. It's Full Circle Racing Limited. For your lacing and truing, nipples and spokes, wheels are in stock. Everything that some of your Southern California wheel builders have, Tom McAllister has at Full Circle Racing, and he's a huge supporter of vintage motocross throughout the Northeast and has been for many, many years. Thank you, Tom McAllister, for all the support you give us here at Vintage Motocross Q&A, Tank Bangers. I think you are our longest sponsor at this point. Tom McAllister, Full Circle Racing. Okay. Now, as I mentioned, I've actually got 2 tanks in that vise today. So stick around because we're going to have a couple of tips for you today. One, of course, the dent up front that I'm right here, TV. I'm here now. All right. And we have another tank up on the other end of the vise. And I'll show you a little bit more about that in just a couple of minutes when we get started. Once we get started moving some tanks around and getting some things started. Okay, fine. Now, let's switch cameras. We'll go over to the Full Circle Racing cam right there. I also give my friend Sean Gomes a little plug here this morning at fastguystuff.com. Here's that trick device I'm going to be using. I'm sure you've got one of these in your garage. But there it is. I've already drilled a hole in the bottom of the tank. I meant to show you that a little bit earlier. There it is, right there. And I think I have a close-up of it. There it is. I already drilled the hole, save a little time on the show. It can get a little clumsy doing stuff like that. So I drilled it beforehand. We're up in there. And we'll use our magnet. Magnet tells us approximately, not exactly, but very, very close to where we're going to be and where we have to work. Sand it off that circle there so you can see the extent of the damage. I'm going to work from the middle a little bit just to raise this deepest section of the damage. If I start out here, this is still going to be down here, and I'm going to have a real tight dent. It's going to be a little bit harder to get out a little bit later on. Remember what I told you, and I have been telling you on almost every episode. Whenever you have some type of tool inside the tank and you're working on a dent, you want your dimples, for lack of a better word, reverse dimples, I don't know what you call them, but you want them right next to each other every chance you get. If you don't do that, let's just say I had some down here. You're going to have the correct level here, maybe the correct level here. Then you got a little spot in here that's going to be low. Difficult to go back and get that. So keep them as close as possible. And in situations like this, you want firm pressure. Don't jerk it down. You don't have to. There's no need for that. When you have an angle like this and you have leverage from this vice grip right here, it moves rather easily. I hope you enjoyed last night's episode of Vintage Motocross Q&A. Had a couple of really nice bikes on there, a rather unusual ATK 400. that recently sold for over $6,600. And George and Mark Ackerman sent in a beautiful Rickman Hodaka. I think it was number 415 down the line of, I'm sorry. Yeah, 415 down the assembly line of only 1,200 Hodaka, Rickman Hodakas ever made. I didn't even think they made that many, really, but that's a pretty low number. Here's another thing, too. You have this in here like this, and you're easy, and you're able to reach here. You can tilt that. Same hole. You don't have to drill another hole. You can tilt that. You may have a little less leverage in some situations, but see the arc that I have from one hole? And the same thing can happen sometimes too. It's probably a good time to show you this. Let's say you're working with a longer piece, a longer tool like this, and you've got it up inside there. One hole. See the arc I have? Just from that one hole? And it goes even longer than that, really. The camera's in the way. I can't go further over this way. I'm telling you this because always look where your dent is in consideration where you're going to drill your hole. The less holes, the better. It's going to cost you less to have them welded up. Customers are going to be happy, or you're going to be happy when you don't have as many holes under your tank. This is an ideal spot, really, because once this tank is mounted and the frame is in here, this thing is mounted, you can't see up in there. I mean, now that you know how I do it, you might have a desire to look really closer, get underneath there with a flashlight or something. But the average enthusiast isn't going to notice where those marks are. We were also talking about yesterday about how much material is really removed from a tank when we sand. If you missed yesterday's show, I really think it's worth it. I think it's really worth discussing again. I'm going to change this out, and I'll tell you why. Now, I've got a dent down here yet. Got a low spot down here yet. And that's really not too bad. All right, you know what? I'm not going to change it just yet. But I'm hitting the tank. I'm hitting the tank as opposed to the low spot on the dent. We were talking yesterday about this. This is the bottom of a CR250 tank. I cut it out. 0.66 is a little greater than 1/16 of an inch. If you're doing it in millimeters, it's 1.84 millimeters. After I sanded it down, I spent some time with using 80 grit on the vibrating sander, 180, 220, 240, 320, 400. And I took a couple of dents out of it, and I kept sanding it. Probably spent about 15 minutes at least just in this area, which is a lot of time for a vibrating sander and to be concentrating in one area. Anyway, it went from 1.84 to 1.70, 16 or 0.16 millimeters. What does that mean? It means a sheet of paper. After all that sanding, that's how much I took down. I stress that because you want to get the dent up as close as possible to level to where you really, really need it, so you have less sanding. There's still going to be a lot of sanding per se as far as time goes, but there's not as much sanding involved as far as taking material away from the tank. Okay? I got 8 people watching. Let's see if I can see some comments here. Ronald Rodriguez, good skills. Thank you, Roland, for joining us today. And anybody else have any comments, please post them. I'd be able to answer any questions you might have here. So I'm not attacking this with any great pressure at all. I just want to go over where my little high spots that I've created are. And as you can imagine, I can see everything nice and clearly. I've been standing there for a couple of seconds. What's the word I'm looking for? Minuscule, microscopic amount of aluminum has come off that tank. That's nothing. Again, nothing for good reason, because I raised up that section as high as it needs to be. In fact, it's just a shade high, but that's okay. While I'm at it, this is a good time to point something out to you. You make it a little shinier with a little finer paper. You can see here, all through here, you see two little high spots here, but you see the original clear coat that's yellowed around it. Those are all low spots. Remember again, when I was telling you, make sure you keep your dimples as close as possible. Otherwise, you'll wind up with stuff like that. I've got some experience at this. This isn't going to be a big deal for me to get these out. But on a bigger dent, covers more area of the tank, or if you try it for the first time, it can lead into you chasing your tail a bit. And I'll show you why. Right now. I'm working right here on this one. And of course, your natural instinct is to go back in with the tool again and get those little spots out. Now, I did that. And it looks good. But if this were much bigger and you had something like that, and it wasn't in an area where you had much leverage, you're going to wind up lifting a whole lot more than those two little low spots. Then it's too high. Then you sand. Then you're lifting it up again. From what I understand, I can only see comments when people are watching the show through our Vintage Motocross Q&A page. Some of you are watching it through my personal page, and that's great. But I can't see your comments. I can't see your comments unless you're on the Vintage Motocross Q&A page. All right? While I'm thinking about it, and it will give me a moment to just get a little bit of a rest. There is a pretty big roll of 80 grit sandpaper, P80. All right. And it's kind of thicker because the paper itself is thicker because it's 80 grit. This is 180. I just got these in the mail yesterday. I ordered from a place called the House of Color in Santa Cruz. How far is Santa Cruz from me? About 2 hours. Shipping is only like $8, something like that. My point is, these 2 rolls of paper were $90 for both rolls, shipping included. So 82, it was like 83 and change for 2 rolls of sandpaper. I'm not complaining. I'll get a lot of use out of 2 rolls of sandpaper. Probably will last me a month at least before I have to order again. What I'm saying is, when you order quality paper, expect to pay more. If you're going to go to Home Depot or Lowe's and get some 8x11 sheets or whatever, you have to at least make sure they're P-rated. And you're probably going to pay more per square foot or linear foot or however they measure it. You're probably going to pay more than I paid. But sandpaper can be expensive. All right? Almost like magic. With patience, they disappear. Yeah, patience is the #1 tool you need in this game. All right, let's get back to our dent. Thinking you guys can see that pretty good. Maybe I'll lower the camera a little bit, give you a little bit of a different angle. See, I don't want to get the, I can't get it too close because then I can't work. I can't sand because you guys have a good view, but then I can't get my arm in there. All right. Keep the magnet handy. You always want to make sure you're close to where you need to be. You know, I got a little low spot underneath here. And that's what I was telling you before. When I was in that hole and I'm prying, but at this point, I can't get any lower than that. The low spot is down here and I'm already hitting the tank. So I need something with a little more of a tighter bend. Something that when I put it in here, it's going to get right down in that section where I need to be. See how I've got the room here? This piece isn't going to hit. Okay. You know what? That's what I wanted to show you too. I wanted to show you exactly where, because you might not be able to see the high spot from that or the low spot from the camera. Now you can. Oh, you can see it really clearly. You can see it really clearly right through here. Okay. Is that a 1/2 inch hole? No. No, it's about 1/4 of an inch actually. It's just about enough. Here, I'll show you the picture again. Here's a picture of the hole before I got started. See it there? They're generally about enough to get a pen or a pencil in there. Now, might it wallow out a little bit? Yeah, it might. It might get a little bigger along the way. But to begin with, and it depends on where the dent is, you're not going to have a very big hole there at all. And if I have another tank here, well, let me not get involved in too many things at one time. But in answer to your question, the hole is only about 1/4 of an inch. I'm right here. Right along here. A little low, right here, right through here. I think you could even see a shadow of it right through here. I'm right here. Excuse me. And it's no different when I'm doing it here as when I'm working down the side. 80, 180, 240, 320. But right now, I'm just jumping from the 180 to the 320 or the 400 to give myself a little bit of a shinier finish on this. Why? Because we all know that when something is shiny or something is polished, you see everything. And on this, I just went down to 400, and I can still see my low spot up here where I had that little halo going around it. I'm pretty good over here now. I don't see it there, but I still see it out here a little bit. Where's the magnet, guys? I lost it. Fortunately, I have about 1,000 other. Oh no, you know where it is? The hell is this? Top TV crime series. Anyway, here it is. It's right here. It was on the vice grip. I have this thing on my phone here. You know, this is about. Find the page, do this, do that. An ad just popped up. Add a number. You can't see it, but I can see it. But it doesn't matter. Okay, I'm right here. I say it a lot. I'll probably say it every day. If you're going to start sanding, yes, you can do it with your thumb lightly a little bit if you're just going to take down a little scratch or something. But the most of the time, you want to have the paper flat in your hand. Going with the curve of your hand goes with the curve of the tank. Going in circles. This side for a second. Move this camera. Get this. This one too. Remember, if you have any questions, you want me to answer anything on the show tomorrow, just type it in there. I check every comment afterward. I watch the show, and I'd be happy to bring your question on camera and answer it. It'll give me time to prepare. If I have to get out here at night and do some things to make that happen, I'll be happy to do that for you. I'd love to know what I just did. Hang on. Oh, we're still on camera right there. Okay. All right, that was with the 80. I'm going to drop down to the 180. All right. We're going to drop back to 240. I should have ordered more 240 yesterday. That's okay. This is it, 240. $240. Hang on a second, guys. Why am I asking you to hang on a second? Because I'm tired and I'm sweating. I really appreciate you joining me every day. This is our ninth episode. I think it's the 9th. I started it last Monday, 5 last week, 4 this week, 9. Yeah, I've done this about 9 times. So I'm going to keep on doing it every morning. It's very motivational for me to get out here a little bit earlier, not that much earlier, 9 o'clock. But these are actual tanks for customers that you're seeing me work on. Okay. Let me see if I can see any comments. Brian Ledger. Let's see what we got here. TV, Roland Rodriguez, TV, almost magic with patience. Is that a 1/2 inch hole? No, it's not. It's about 1/4 inch. Mike Cortez, very nice. Thank you. I can see it. Thanks for tuning in this morning. Looking good, Joe. Hey, Fast Guy Stuff. You like the sticker down there or what? You see it? Sean Gomes, fastguystuff.com. The stickiest stickers in the sticker business. All right. Brian Ledger. I've been told I had an abrasive personality, so I decided to rate people based on sandpaper grits. One of my exes attained a whopping 40. She said if it was a good whopping 40. She said she was a good housekeeper. It ended up she was a housekeeper. All right. Yeah. Yeah. It's I'm not going to say it. There's an old joke about a marriage is like a hurricane. There's a lot of this and a lot of that in the beginning, but in the end, you lose the house. If you know it, you know it. Anyway, I'm going to get back to this tank now that I've gotten a little breather and a little water, and I'm feeling a whole lot better. Now, I was down to 320. And if I were, well, I am going to do it. This is going to be slightly a nice brushed finish with a polish to it. And let me get back on camera and I'll give you an idea what it's going to look like when it's done. This is another tank for the same guy, Marty Burks. Okay. So if you look closely, you can see there's a brush finish in there. And it's not a mirror finish as far as the polishing job goes. See it? You see those little lines in there? Kind of the way it came. Very, very close to the way it came from the factory. Maybe this line is a little too pronounced. I'll probably cut that line down a little bit so it flows more in and looks a little bit more organic or natural, like the way it came from the factory. My point is, it is going to get finished just like that. This is down to 400. I'm only down to 320 on this section right here. Might as well follow up, keep going down to the 400. Although, well, I'm just going to do it, and then I'll give you the although. I'll give you the although thing in just a minute. All right, we're down to 400. Well, there you have it. I'm down to the 400. It's looking pretty good. The dent is certainly gone. Now, do I have a few more things to deal with on this tank, on this section? Yeah. Got a mark right here. I've got a couple of little puck marks here and there. Another one up here. Another dent. Well, not a dent, but yes, it is. Another one up here. So just on, this side's looking pretty good, but just on the front of this tank and that one dent, we've got about 45 minutes and I'm not done. Got a spot here, a couple little nicks here, plus in here and the flange. So 45 minutes, I bet you I have at least another 45 minutes in there. So probably about an hour and a half just on the front panel, just on this flange. Now, I've had people say to me, and I've had customers before, they have a 76 tank. They have a 79 tank, 78 tank. They're painted, but they don't want any body filler in it. Will you do that? Will you fix my tank so it has no dents in it? Yeah, and I do that. For other people who have tanks that are painted too, CZ tanks, Mako tanks, almost anything. What would I charge for that, including the 45 minutes that I haven't done yet? Hour and a half, $30 to weld the hole. That's what Daryl Dickerson charges me, between 30 and 40. And I have to drive out to Tracy. I don't really take that into consideration. I usually go out there with 3 or 4 tanks. What would I charge to do that? Probably $200. $200 to get that dent out and just sand it, just sand the flange, give it back to them. If it's going to be painted, I don't have to sand the flange. I don't really have to go down to 400, but I probably would go down to 80, 180, probably to 240. But it's going to take me just the same amount of time. It's going to take me an hour and a half because by the time you get to the 320 and the 400, it's nothing. It's you're just going over it. Doesn't really take that long, as you saw, but it would be a couple $100 for sure. And then if they wanted me to sand the whole tank and do the rest, that's a whole nother thing. All right. So yeah, for an hour and a half, at least a couple $100. You know, when you go to a dentist and you have a toothache and it's killing you and your temple is throbbing and your eye hurts, and you sit down and he gives you the Novocaine, he goes in there, drills it, talks to the nurse, fills it. Half hour later, you're out of pain. Or are you? You go to the front desk and the receptionist says, that'll be $1,800 for today. How would you like to pay? Cash, credit card, or check? $1,800 for 20 minutes. But Joe, you're not a dentist. I'm still going to school. 20 years. Maybe I should have been a dentist. Lord knows I saw one enough times. All right, enough about me. Let's go on to tank 2. I've done something here today I've actually never done. I put 2 tanks in a vise. All right, and why I want to show you this other one, I think I'm going to need to go move this around so you get a better idea of what we're talking about, what I'm going to be doing. You've heard me say on occasion that the dent is in the right place. Well, this one happens to be in the right place. There's a dent here, and it just happens to be where I could reach it right from the petcock area right there. And I'm going to get that right now. But what I'm going to do, maybe I could do it right from here. Hang on, guys. I guess if I crank this thing up high enough, put it on a tilt a little bit. Let's see what we got. Not quite. Let me turn this around so I can see actually what I'm looking at when I'm adjusting the other camera. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Okay. Now, you can see that dent right there. As I said, it happens to be in the right place. I will be able to get probably this tool right here. You saw me using it a little bit earlier. I'm going to get this up in there. And there's a little bit of a lesson to be learned here about not being overzealous or too over aggressive with your prime. Bear with me 1 second. I want to make sure my computer's plugged in too. I don't want to lose you guys. Okay. Okay. So, laptop is plugged in. Everything's looking pretty good. Brian Ledger, thanks for watching. And we're going to go over and bounce over to that other dent. I'll put that on full screen for you. There we go. And I'm able to get right in there from the petcock area. Double check it with my magnet. Now, this area of the tank is flatter. Not flat per se, but you're right down to the end here. The curve it's a little flatter. So you don't want to get over aggressive with the prime and make it too high. I mean, you don't want to do that anyway, anywhere, but especially in a small area, because the smaller the dent is, you go too high, you get a high spot, you got to tap it down, you got to sand it again. You've heard me say it before. I don't want to sound like a broken record, guys, but you don't want to create more work for yourself than you already have. All right. Now, this tank is pretty smooth in this area. I don't want to remove more material than I have to. When I pried on it, I didn't have to get very aggressive. I could see the little dimple sections coming up. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm not even going to use 180 or 80 or even 320. I'm going to go right to the 400. This is not because I'm looking to finish it right now or give it a brush finish. It just gives me the opportunity to see where my little spots are, where I have to follow up again with taking a minimal amount of material away from the tank. And there you go. Like stars in the sky, they pop up right out of nowhere, right? You can see them pretty clearly right there on the screen, I would think. Yeah, not so bad at all. You could share the show too, guys, if you want other people to come and join us. Maybe you know somebody that has a lot of gas tanks and they want some tips on how to fix them, and invite them over. I'd be happy to help anybody that I can. A lot of people have said to me, why do you show your trade secrets? You can go on YouTube and you can find out how David Blaine levitates himself when he walks across a pool in Las Vegas. Why wouldn't I tell you how to sand a tank? Not only that, a good leader doesn't create more followers, he creates more leaders. Keep that in mind. I know you got your hot rod guys out there and they have their formulas for cams and valves and porting, and they don't want to tell anybody anything. I get that. They feed their families with that. You can pay a lot of money to go race engines, especially the car guys. But for something like this, the people that are going to send me a tank, they're always going to have the money to pay me, and they're not going to have the time. So they're always going to send me work. Now, for the guys who don't have the money, and they do have the time, but they don't have the experience, well, now you do. Just because you don't have the money doesn't mean you shouldn't have a nice bike. Okay. I think we're pretty close to level on that now, and you could see how little I actually sanded. Yes, there's more sanding to go, but you could see that there wasn't as much as some people may think. Because the biggest concern always when an amateur tries to do this is, am I going to burn a hole through my tank? It takes a lot. It takes a lot. In fact, as I mentioned before, we're getting a little overzealous, and then sometimes you wind up with a high spot and you have to tap it down. Well, while I was talking to you, that's sort of what happened to me right here. I got a little bit of a high spot. I'm going to take this, put it next to the high spot, not exactly on it, but I want it to support the metal that's around it. I take my body hammer and gently tap. Okay. All right. I got it down to a low roar anyway, but that just happens to be, as I said earlier, and sometimes you get lucky, you catch a dent in the right spot. That's right about there. Oh, man. All right. I want to thank you all for joining me this morning at Tank Bangers, segment of Vintage Motocross Q&A. that I do every weekday at 9 a.m. These are actual tanks for customers. If you have any questions about welding, tanks, seams, grinding, drilling, anything like that, you can put it right here in the comments. I'll take a look at it later on. I'll take a screenshot of it, and on tomorrow's show, I'll answer your question. All right? Don't forget, we've got interviews, how-to tips. There's hundreds. There's maybe close to 1,000 videos on the Vintage Motocross Q&A page. All right? Get over there and check those out. Don't forget, we also have shirts for sale. Vintage Motocross Q&A shirts, $24.95. And I want to thank our sponsor of today's show, Tom McAllister and Full Circle Racing. Thank you, Tom, for all the help you give us every day here at Vintage Motocross Q&A and for over the years. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 9 on Tank Bangers.